Hey gang. So, I know it's very unlike me to make a topical video that isn't evergreen, but I have a lot to say about a certain little announcement Nintendo just made. That being the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Also, if I sound a little off in this video, that's because I'm literally just getting over a cold right now, so yeah. For context, Super Mario Galaxy is my favorite Mario game, full stop. It's actually my favorite game Nintendo ever made, and it also introduced my favorite Mario character, Rosalina, who's also my favorite female video game character. Yeah, you get the idea. This game holds an incredibly special place in my heart for many different reasons. So I should be excited that it's getting a movie adaptation, right? Well, I'll be honest, I'm not a very big fan of the Mario movie. I have a really strange love-hate relationship with the movie. Like, I really do not like this movie, but I can't bring myself to hate it. It's weird. While the animation and references and music were amazing, I didn't like anything else about the film. The plot was non-existent, there wasn't any meaningful character growth, it felt insincere at times, the pacing of the film was sickeningly breakneck. The casting had some awful choices, Peach's entire characterization was off, etc, etc. But I will say, I've always liked the idea of exploring the Mario mythos even further through sequels and spin-offs. Hell, they even did a lot of teasing for a Galaxy adaptation throughout the first film. To be quite honest, this was completely expected at some point, but that doesn't change that I'm very concerned about what it could be. First of all, like, we're doing Galaxy already? We're skipping a whole lot of the Mario universe just by going straight to the 2007 entry. Like, I love Rosalina, but I also want to see Daisy, or Wario, or Waluigi, or Bowser Jr. before I do my Space Queen. Hell, I remember when everybody thought this would be a Super Mario World movie based on the Yoshi post-credits scene. Now, that's not to say they can't cram all of that into this film, but that's also kind of a problem. They crammed so much into the first film with a 90-minute runtime, and I'm afraid they'll try to do the same here. They really didn't have any moment to flesh out the characters just because we had to get to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next. And them trying to do that exact thing is honestly antithetical to how I view Mario Galaxy as a game. To me, Galaxy felt like a very contemplative space odyssey. One that felt peaceful and had a sense of tranquility. Not to say it didn't have its fair share of epic spectacle, because even to this day that remains unmatched in the Mario world. But there was a balance, and the first Mario movie did not have that balance. It was terrified of taking things too slow. Little moments that would have gone a long way to really flesh out its characters or world were cut because they feared people wouldn't have the attention span to be interested. But that was the biggest criticism I heard of the movie, even from its own fans. So, my main hope, or cope, is that they'll listen to this and actually give these characters a chance to shine. And I don't mean with a nostalgia gawkfest like the first film, but rather something more sincere. And it's quite ironic when people say, it's a Mario movie, why should it try to have a decent story? First off, because it's a fucking movie, not a game, so contextually that argument makes no sense. Second, putting Mario in a movie setting is the perfect excuse to give a meaningful story with actual characters you can get attached to. But you know what's even more ironic? Mario Galaxy is the only mainline title with a story worth getting invested in. Yeah, the main plot is your general Bowser kidnaps Peach shtick, but there's also an optional side story through Rosalina's storybook. A genuinely beautiful origin story for the gal with meaningful theming about grief and found family. I'm not ashamed to admit I've cried on many playthroughs reading this story. So suffice to say, I had a really strong emotional connection with the game's story, compared to the first movie where I really didn't have any. The only reason I was even half invested in the film was because I recognized imagery from my childhood. Basically, all of this video is to say that I hope they actually develop the characters somewhat. I'm not expecting anything like extremely deep, but something that goes beyond the surface level. Like, at least on par with a Pixar or DreamWorks movie. And they've also been going overdrive with the Mario Galaxy nostalgia as of late. And you know what? It makes sense. The duology was very well received, and most people who grew up with the game are probably out of high school now. But hopefully for this movie, they'll recognize what made Mario Galaxy so special in the first place. And that doesn't mean making another surface-level nostalgia romp like the first that was, you know, easy to make and very marketable. But rather, I hope they take their time to develop these characters I genuinely care about. At this point, I think I'm just repeating myself, so I'll leave you with this. I am cautiously optimistic about the Mario Galaxy movie. I do think they have a shot at making something really special here, but in order to do that, they have to avoid so many traps that the first film fell victim to. And knowing Illumination, I'm really worried if they're even gonna try. With some exceptions like the first Despicable Me, all of their movies are just so mindless. Just brain-numbing garbage. And I know there's an audience for that, and I can totally respect it, but it's not my thing. But hopefully, given that they're adapting the one mainline Mario story people care about, they might actually try this time. And hey, I was also concerned for Sonic 3 when I saw the first trailer. This wouldn't be a Trey the William video if I didn't mention Sonic. I was worried that they wouldn't mitigate the problems that I had with the first two films, especially with a character that meant a whole lot to me like Shadow. And while it definitely wasn't perfect, it was a brilliant retelling of Shadow's original story while also not afraid of being its own thing. And I'm hoping that this movie can do the exact same. And I already know Brian Tyler's soundtrack is gonna make me cry. It's actually a full circle moment for my childhood. He also worked on LEGO Universe, which was my other favorite childhood game that wasn't Mario Galaxy. So now that he's working on a dedicated Mario Galaxy film, it just all kinda goes full circle for me. Well, that's my 2 cents on the upcoming movie. I really don't have much else to talk about. Thank you all so much for watching. Why does the Luma have a mouth? Why does the Luma have a mouth?
It spells out, you are Mr. Gay. Mario.